Welcome into the AL Recruiting Power 5 podcast, where we are joined with an awesome guest today. He is Georgia Tech Hall of Famer, Atlanta Falcons legend, linebacker Keith Brooking, and now he is the coach and the linebacker coach at Savannah Christian Prep, and maybe the most overqualified linebacker coach there is. Coach, we're glad to have you on, man.
Hey, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, we'll just hop right into it. Like I said, the format of this podcast, everybody should know now. If you've watched all the other episodes, we ask each guest 5 questions. And, Coach, you did it all, man. You played high school, you played college, you played pro, you were drafted number 12. We got to ask and got to know, what's your best football memory?
Wow, that's a tough one because there's so many wonderful memories. I started playing the game when I was 6 years old and gave it up at 38. So that's quite a few years of just wonderful experiences and relationships that I built throughout those years, and so many great moments. But I would probably, if I had to choose one, it would be just my draft day. In my hometown of Sonoya, Georgia, and it was just I declined an invitation to go to New York, and this was very different back in the day. It was 1998 draft, but so I had really small town. Used to be a small town of Sonoya. Now that it's kind of a suburb of Atlanta, but very small town. Just had my close friends and family there with me in Sonoya at my mom's house, and just the culmination of all the hard work and just where I came from, and that day was kind of generational change for me and my family, and I can get emotional talking about it now. So it just just having the opportunity, the chance of going to the NFL, and I knew I was probably more than likely going to be a high pick. And man, it just got better. The day goes on. I ended up getting drafted by my hometown team, the Atlanta Falcons. And it was so funny because we set up a tent in my mom's yard, and I grew up with nothing. I tell you, that's an understatement. And we rolled out this big screen TV, and we got it hooked up, and we didn't have cell phones back then. So, well, we did, but they were like the big Nextel, like they were like a car phone, and the reception was really bad, especially in the country in Sonoya. So we couldn't rely on that as a phone call. But so we had, I don't know if you remember the wireless phones that you had in the house. So we brought that outside, and we were like going over to the neighbor's house, like testing to make sure the wireless phone would work when the NFL, with whatever team drafted me. We had to get that phone call. We couldn't miss that phone call. So that all set up perfectly, and just an unbelievable experience that day of sharing it with my family, like I said. So I ended up getting drafted by my hometown team, and the coolest part of it was the local sheriff's department and some of the Georgia State troopers actually, most players, they get flown into the cities to have their press conferences like the following day. Well, I'm 50 miles down the road. So Dan Reeves, who was the head coach at the time, he calls a press conference for that afternoon. So the local sheriff's department and the Georgia State troopers like escort me like up to the Falcons facility. It was like the coolest thing ever. So I'm getting like escorted up I-85, to do my press conference for the Falcons. But that just, man, I could go on and on, but that's probably at the top of the list for sure.
Man, that's incredible. And just to think for you, playing and living so close to Atlanta and then getting to play for the Falcons for 11 seasons, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, yeah. 11.
I mean, so that to me is just an incredible, had to be great for your family because, you played at Georgia Tech in Atlanta, and then you play for the Falcons. Your family would get to come see you and be a part of that whole process. That had to be awesome.
Yeah, it was the best part of it for sure. And then, well, the worst part of it was I had to buy so many tickets every week. everybody thinks that, you play in the NFL, you get free tickets. Well, guess what? You only get 2 free tickets. So that invoice at the end of the year, you start looking back. I mean, it adds up quickly. So it's like, man, I spent this much money on tickets. So I got to slow down. So you learn how to say no quickly. That's for sure.
You have 11 seasons with the Falcons. and I believe if I counted it right, you played 15 total seasons. And
Yes.
how was it that you sustained success over such a long period? Because you were obviously successful in high school, you were successful at Georgia Tech, and then you were successful as a pro. How did you just keep that going for such a long time?
Well, I think, it's football is such a sense, I mean, it's the game, it can be taken away from you, in an instant. I mean, it's so precious, so in so many ways, but definitely from an injury standpoint. So I just, the good Lord, kept me healthy for one. I mean, I think a lot of that has to do with just the process too of staying in shape. And I was a huge weight room guy. Like, I truly believe in the weight room. And as I got older, those things changed, and I adapted to my body and did things. I adapted in the weight room to help my body. Just because I couldn't do the same things that I loved to do when I was younger, my joints just couldn't take that. But so I had some really good people around me that helped me adapt to kind of where I was at that point in my career. And then, I love the process of, just the day to day, like what it took for me to have the success that I had on the field. Like, there are a lot of, just be honest with you, there are a lot of parts of that really stink. I mean, they're not fun, it's like, I'll be honest with you, like they're just not. But the overall, like, process was really fun to me. Like, I just loved, like, because it was a challenge and it was very uncomfortable. And I tell my son all the time, I tell all my kids, like, you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable, like that's part of success. I think all the really good ones can do that. So I love that. Like, I love the film study. I love the didn't love the practice, but just the preparation. I mean, the 95 degrees in Georgia heat is not fun. I mean, for 2.5 hours, but like I knew what it was doing for me. So that, I don't know if any of that really makes sense, but yeah.
Mhm.
So just the process of everything that it took, like like the film study and just the notes that I've spirals, like spiral notebooks full of, like, keepers full of spiral notebooks in my attic and storage space, from just the notes that I took throughout the course of the year, like while I was in meetings, just all that stuff. Like, I mean, that's it's the work that you put in, I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty simple. Like, success isn't, it's not an act, it's a habit.
Mhm.
It's something that you have to put the work in every day. I try to still it in my kids. So, and you see the kids, that young players that come into the league, and they obviously they don't have that, and they're extremely talented, and I could point them out who aren't going to last very long, because it only
Mhm.
can take you so far. So, yeah, just the work, I
Yep.
think that's, if that, if that's the one thing I could say, that was what got me to where I could have sustainability and play as long as I could possibly play, and taking care of my body. And, like, also the good Lord, he blessed me in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I'll tell you this, I saw you at your son's spring game that got rained out the other night, and for all the fans wondering, "Coach, you look like you could play today." So I don't know if your body could handle it, but you look
Yeah,
like you could.
no, it could not handle it for sure. I'd be the first to admit. Thank you
Well
very much.
well, so this is kinda interesting. We're a recruiting podcast, and I talk a lot about players, and we try to help players and help families. Since you were recruited by Georgia Tech and other schools, how has recruiting changed, since you were in high school?
Yeah, wow. That's I think for people that follow recruiting in college football, and and if you knew that I was recruited in 1994, it's pretty, like, and all the stuff that's going on today, I think it's pretty obvious. Like, it's just, it is, the social media and just the phone, and having, like, that instant access to everything. Like I say all the time, like, kids are about that 5 second, whatever they can get in 5 seconds, whatever's easy, it's like, so yeah, so it's just like the communication that's out there now at every kid's fingertips, where they can see everything that's going on, um, with the various colleges, with their competition. It's crazy. I mean, so and also the just the NIL and like all that stuff that comes into the equation, which is really crazy, which is I'm kind of starting to figure out a little bit about all that right now. So it's definitely a crazy time. I don't know how college coaches keep their hands on, is how they keep up with everything,
Mm-hmm.
because it's definitely a different time. So yeah, I was recruited by two schools, had two offers.
Mm-hmm.
My son's, I think he's gotten, I don't know, yeah, 23 or 24. I can't, it's hard to keep up with. So, and he's a sophomore. I mean, it's crazy. And I got my two offers at the end of, my senior year. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the attention, like that my son is getting right now. So more than anything, just try to keep him humble and hungry and kind of just be where your feet are, because like every kid out there now, it's right at their fingertips. The
Mm-hmm.
communication and what they can see is what's going on. So you can get distracted. You kind of get your mind off of what's really important. I just talked about it. It's the work. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's it's like, don't forget what got you to where you are today. Like, and it could easily be done with these kids these days with the distractions and what's thrown at them. So, um, yeah, I think that's the biggest difference more than anything, is just trying to keep the kids in the right frame of mind and have the right perspective on things. And I tell my son all the time, be where your feet are, man. Like,
Mm-hmm.
enjoy this. This is a really good time in your life. Like, these are like, you're gonna look back on your life and you'll be like, man, this is one of the moments. Like, these are one of the couple of years that was really dang cool, and really take advantage of it, enjoy every minute of it, but still have, the right perspective, and enjoy where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
Like, enjoy your high school, enjoy your teammates right now, and work, do the same work that you've been doing for the past 3 or 4 years in the weight room and in the classroom and all the things that's kind of gotten you to this point. Um, so just kind of trying to balance all that out. I think it's more difficult for
Mm-hmm.
kids these days than when I was growing up, and coaches got in touch with you with handwritten letters
Yeah.
and and landline calls. I mean, so like, and it was few and far between. So it's just the access, is very much different than it was back in 1994 for sure.
Yeah. I mean, these kids have direct access to head coaches now, even just communicate directly to them through
Yeah,
direct message and through their phone. It's so quick now. And so you've kind of mentioned Logan a little
right.
bit, and he's going through this recruiting process right now, and even as we speak today, just a few hours ago, on at the time we record this, he was just offered by LSU. And so, what is your advice to him? And I know you kind of said that in the last one, but like, what do you just
Yeah.
keep telling him as he's going through all of this?
Well, yeah. Well, first thing is enjoy it. Like, I really think that's important for him, to do that. He's worked his tail off. He really has. So I want him to enjoy the process, but more than anything, like I said before, just kind of, you know, don't ever forget kind of what got you to where you are, and be where your feet are. And like, I want Logan to, like, we have workouts starting up in June 5th. So I want Logan to really get prepared and ready to work this summer with his teammates and enjoy them, because we have a really good chance of being successful this year and having a lot of fun on the football field in the fall of 2023. Um, so yeah, I try to just be that, be that message for him. And then also, I want to be there for him, and let him know, like, this is his decision. I'm going to give him my advice. I'm going to give, just try to, from my experiences and what happened to me, and try my best to help him along from that standpoint. And it's, shoot, he's just a sophomore. So in the landscape of college football and today, and just the turnover that takes place,
Yeah.
and the change that, oh my goodness, that happens, on a day-to-day basis, an hour-to-hour basis. Um, it's not going to be the same 2 years from now for Logan. So,
No.
and realize how much of a business it is, and that, um, there's some really good dudes that are in college football, some great coaches that are going about it the right way. And I don't think you can't. I was in a locker room for 32 years of my life. Well, not really, but I mean, I played football for 32 years. I went in locker rooms in Pee Wee, but like for the majority of my adult life, playing football, I was, there were men leading the football teams that I was a part of, and position coaches and personnel people across the board, and like not one of them ever fooled me. So I mean, I knew them before they knew themselves. I mean, so like you can't fool. My point is you can't fool the kids. So like you can't fool Logan. Like I coached high school. Um, you know, these kids are smart. I can't fool the kids that I coach. They know if I'm in it for the right reasons and why I'm doing it. I mean, they
Yeah.
they can ping you out in a heartbeat. So like Logan will figure that out. So I got those are the kind of things that I talk to Logan about. Like he's gonna know the guys that are. It's a business. They may move on. They may go to other places. Just like Logan's gonna pick the best place for him. But like you're gonna know the guys that are genuinely in it, that like Logan, where are you going? What are they going to give you? Okay, for you, the chance you go in the NFL are slim enough. What are they going to give you to set you up 15 years down the road? Like what's that? How does that look?
Mm-hmm.
So those are the kind of things that I tell Logan, and I think he's starting to kind of look at it that way. And it's crazy, man, what's going on right now, and the guys that are coming in and like really after Logan, and man, you can pin them out quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think Logan's doing the same. It's very interesting for sure.
Yeah. And kind of our last question just is, you've been through it all, but now this is a new experience for you too. You're a dad going through this process with your son. And like
Yeah.
what's your, you got portal, you got NIL stuff. I mean, you got kids still hanging around from the COVID year and the extra year of eligibility. Like what would you advise to parents, as especially those that may have never gone through this process?
Yeah. I think a lot of what I've said, the first, just answering the first four questions is, I think it's just really like, I don't think you can overreact about anything, like I think just be steady,
Hmm.
like in the process, if that makes any sense, as far as just because of all the stuff I talked about, as far as just the access that you have, the information that you can get. Some of it is true, some of it's not. I tell my kids all the time, like, believe nothing that you read and half of what you see with your two eyes. So it's just like just be steady in the process, and don't overreact, because it's just the landscape and the way things are changing, and man, it's going to be so different a year from now.
Hmm.
um yeah, and just diligently go about your business and focus on what's most important for your child, and that's kind of where they are, and enjoying like where they are in their high school experiences, because man, those are some of the best days of my life. Little old
Hmm.
East Coweta High School, when it wasn't political, when there was no business involved, and man, we were really good, and like coaches laid the foundation for me as a young man and a football player, and they challenged me to the core. So, yeah, like those are the best years of my life, the 4 years at East Coweta. So, really enjoy that, and don't get distracted by all the other stuff, because that'll come. And be diligent in the process and be steady.
Man, it's incredible advice, and I can't thank you enough for just joining with us today and being on here and just dropping all these nuggets of truth to parents and kids that are going to be watching this. Really do appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Yep, and
It's a pleasure.
and if anybody, I know I have a lot of football guys that love, follow this podcast. If you want to see a team that's loaded with talent, Savannah Christian Prep has a ton of guys that you can go watch this fall, and they'll be playing on Saturdays in the fall pretty soon.
Yeah, we're excited. Coach Baker Wilward does a fantastic job there. We have a lot of talent, a lot of ability. The future's bright. It's only getting better. And yeah, we're excited about this upcoming season and the success we're going to have. So it's a lot of fun. I have more fun I get more rewards from this, and I have more fun doing this than anything. So it's a lot of fun. We're looking forward to a great year.
All right. Well, thanks again, Coach, for being on, and thanks again for everybody for listening. If you don't mind, subscribe. That helps us continue to do interviews, continue to get the information out there to recruits and their families. Y'all have a good one, and God bless.